Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Shay Harold, and this is Everything is Connected, Deconstructing Bias and Othering Through Western Comics. Presentation by me, Shay Harold. So my theme is common tropes in human mythology across time and place, making connections between them using concepts and artworks discussed in class. A lot of what I encountered while we were discussing things in class was I was able to make connections between concepts and history from these artworks. I was able to make connections to these things I was reading in these very Western comics. So it was really kind of like eye-opening, because I was like, oh, it's not so different. Everything is connected. So, for the sake of ease, and because I'm obsessed at the moment, we're going to be talking about Transformers comics only. I don't want to... There are a lot of different connections I could be making between every comic made ever, but I'm only going to be doing the Transformers comics. It's easy, and I'm insane. Important words to know. These will come up a lot. A couple that I do want you to know is Primus. It is their benevolent creator god of Cybertronians. Cybertronians are the robots. They're what we call Transformers, but in the mythology, they're going to be referred to as Cybertronians. That is the species. Functionalism, a social caste system. We'll review that whenever it comes up. Energon is the fuel blood. For the sake of our discussion, it is what they need to live and to thrive. Let's freaking go. First up, we've got Asakate Mask from the Astrolabe Bay makers of Papua New Guinea. Asakate's bite. So the Astrolabe Bay people, whenever you're a little boy and you live in Papua New Guinea, in Astrolabe Bay, you reach a certain age and everyone's like, cool, hey, you want to be a man? We're going to cut off your foreskin. And the little boys go, yippee! It's painful, but enduring it is a sign of strength in the boy's journey into manhood. It is a rite of passage. It signifies that I, as a boy, have entered manhood because I went through this thing, and it was really hard and really painful, but I did it. And then the Astrolabe Bay people will wear these masks and dance around during celebrations concerning this event. The Asakate mask shows protruding eyes, shows Asa biting down on something, which is often what they will give to the boys whenever they are going through this, is they will bite down on something because that ish hurt. I tied it back to Autobots and Decepticon branding. Whenever you as an Autobot, or you as a Cybertronian, you're like, hey, it's the war. I want to show my loyalty to this cause, and so as a way of showing that loyalty and showing that dedication, you will be branded with the insignia of whatever faction you choose to be a part of. So if I were an Autobot, I would get an Autobot brand. If I were a Decepticon, I would get a Decepticon brand. Even post-war, Autobots will still hold branding ceremonies to celebrate another Autobot joining their ranks. This is from the More Than Meets the Eye annual. It shows Tailgate about to be initiated as an Autobot. Even though the war is over, you don't really need factions, especially on the Lost Light, where factions don't really matter. It's still a symbol of your dedication to a cause and to an ideology, and it's a rite of passage. Next up, we've got Portrait of Shin Suk-ju. Anyways, a society is to be harmonious and the government is to be effective. Hierarchies must be respected and sustained, from McCurdy in the textbook circa 2022. Shin Suk-ju was a high-ranking political officer during the Joseon dynasty of Korea. We can tell this because he's old, and they made a point to show that. And also, he has this gold embroidery on his robes that show peacocks, which were also a symbol of status. And also, he has a portrait. A lot of things tell us that Shin Suk-ju is a very, very important man, especially because filial piety was a thing. In Neo-Confucian Korea, filial piety was the concept of deep respect and care for one's elders and ancestors. So the older you were, the more respect you gained from the people younger than you. And that was kind of how they had that ranking system. And so they believed that if you did not respect this kind of... I'm 19.
You are 19.
Why? Whatever. God! Okay. Again, in Neo-Confucian Korea, the concept of filial piety was very integral to maintaining societal balance. If you did not respect that system, if you didn't respect your elders or whatever, that meant society was going to fall apart, everyone dies. Probably not that dramatic, but you know what I mean. Similarly, in Transformers, you have functionalism! Functionalism is the Cybertronian belief that frame type determines class and job. So, for example, the little guy I have depicted here, his name is Rewind. He turns into a thumb drive. So he is very low class and assigned only to low-level archivism jobs because that's all he's like good for. It's why the war for Cybertron began, that is, functionalism that is. Functionalists believed that it was important to maintain order in Cybertronian society. Megatron, we all know him. We have mixed feelings about him. He began as a miner. He would mine energon, but that is a very, very low-class job. And that is why Megatron started the Decepticon cause, because he didn't want to be a slave to his frame type anymore. He wanted to study philosophy. He wanted to learn, but he wasn't allowed to because they reduced him to his frame type. Similar to filial piety, this was a concept that was very important in Cybertronian society because they believed that it was important to maintaining order. Next up we have The Scramble for Africa by Yinka Shonibare. He is a British-born, Nigerian-raised black man, and as an interrogation of English imperialism and the effects it had on Africa and African people, he made this piece. It depicts figures who are headless, depicting their mindless hunger for conquest as they divide up the continent as if it were a cake to be eaten. The men are wearing Dutch knockoffs of Indonesian batiks sent to Africa after they were rejected by Indonesian people who preferred the real thing. So imagine the Dutch. They go to Indonesia. They're like, bro, this fabric looks freaking awesome. What if we take your concepts, make them worse, and then we try to sell it back to you? And then the Indonesian people, they were like, no. Why? Why would we want these? These suck. The Dutch were like, oh, phooey. Now we have all of this fabric that we worked not really hard on. Yo, Africa, want these? And they were like, sure. So that's why we end up with this common thought process of seeing this fabric and thinking of very tribal people and things and concepts and all that stuff. This reminded me of the war for Cybertron. The war for Cybertron is between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and it is the one through line in all the Transformers comics. So whatever show, movie, comic you're reading, game you're playing, whatever, you're always going to find this common theme of fighting for Cybertron. Usually, it is a war for ideology. It very quickly becomes a war for resources. So that energon we talked about in the beginning, it is depleting. Cybertron is dying, so we don't have as much energon anymore. So we are fighting for our lives, trying to get more, because if we want to win the war, we need more energon, and we need more energon than the other guy. The Decepticons hope to conquer the galaxy, spreading peace through tyranny. So they are also thinking in a very imperialistic, very much colonizer way, spreading their ideology across the galaxy, not just Cybertron. Both factions fight to find energon, the life-sustaining the resource for all Cybertronians. We talked about this. Oh, and that's it. Next up, take a break. Go do something for yourself for about 5 seconds. Excuse me. There's a dog down here, and he is very loud. A lot of thoughts to share. And so do I, apparently, because here we go, artwork number 4 is the pair of Galade helmet masks from the Yoruba makers of Nigeria. Yoruba men wear the Galade masks along with a veil that covers the face during the festival or the Great Mother. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm just going to refer to her as the Great Mother for the rest of this presentation, but this is who we're talking about in Nigerian mythology, is that. To honor mothers, their ability to bear children, and their influence. The banana plant, snakes, and frog all represent the life-giving qualities of women and, in turn, the Great Mother. This natural imagery of subsistence crops and powerful animals references the natural power and importance of women in Yoruba society. In a very Western context, we would view snakes and immediately think evil because of the Bible, because of Christianity. But for the Yoruba makers, they see a snake, and in such a dry climate, you see a snake and you go, why are you alive? This means good things. There are things that are keeping you alive around here. Hurrah. Snake means thing to keep alive. Similarly, okay, buddy. Similarly, we have the Allspark. Ignore that it's a Magic the Gathering card. The Allspark falls into a folkloresque use in media. So we are going to start talking about the folkloresque. Peretti describes it better than I do. The term folkloresque refers to popular culture's reception of folklore, and it encompasses 3 different modes: parody, integration, and portrayal. Allspark, alongside the Well of Sparks, serves as the symbol for where all Cybertronian life comes from. Similar to the Great Mother, it is revered and celebrated for its status as a symbol of life and influence. Both symbols serve similar purposes in their respective folklore. There is folklore and there is folkloresque, and whenever we consume media, we engage in the folkloresque to help better understand and better deconstruct what we have learned as folklore for so long. And similarly, we have very similar themes in folklore as well as the folkloresque. So the Great Mother in her folklore is life-giving, is representative of that human experience of motherhood, of being alive, of trying to stay alive, all of that. And in a folkloresque sense, the Allspark serves a similar purpose. It is a symbol of life. Same with the Well of Sparks. It serves as a symbol of life, where life comes from, life-giving. Hey, you have something to add? Last, we have Shiva Nataraja from the Chola dynasty makers of Tamil Nadu, India. This is Shiva. Shiva is one of the main deities in Vedic traditions, representing destruction and creation. Shiva takes what is destroyed and turns it into something new. Vedic tradition is multi-theistic, meaning there are multiple gods in the Vedic mythology. Some followers are devotees, so they focus their worship on one specific deity, aka if I'm worshiping Shiva, I'm a Shaivist, while still recognizing the existence of others in the mythology. Folkloresque of Transformers, you have the 13 primes. They serve similar purposes in Transformers mythology. Cybertronians will often exalt or worship a certain prime depending on their goals in life. So if I wanted to be an archivist, I would worship Alpha Trion. He is knowledge and all that stuff. Megatronus, that sounds familiar, right guys? Because oftentimes in Transformers mythology, or lore, or whatever, before he becomes Megatron, he is D16, that is his minor designation because they don't get names. He chooses to go by Megatronus because he is a symbol of power, and that's what he wants to achieve. He wants to conquer, he wants to be able to change things, so he chooses the name Megatronus, later leading to being called Megatron. They acknowledge and value the existence of other primes alongside their chosen one. So you acknowledge that the 13 primes do exist, but you also still would be like, oh, but I want to be an archivist, so I'm going to honor Alpha Trion. This falls into a similar vein of folkloresque plot devices that Peretti discusses in his essay. Deconstruction of how we view folklore and how we consume folklore in our everyday lives through this media and through the folkloresque in these stories, like the Great Mother, like Shiva Nataraja and the Vedic deities. These are mirrors to that experience and to that folklore that is so common among humans in general. Having these characters and having these symbols in mythology and in local mythology, that is a very common human tradition. Now, conclusion. The human experience contains many universal themes. Though time and place may change how we portray these common experiences, it does not negate the fact that they are what make us human, make us connected. By recognizing these similarities, we're able to deconstruct our biases and begin to unlearn the othering instilled in us from a young age, especially as a Western audience. I was definitely raised in a Western culture. By being able to tie these things from my life, being able to find these connections helps me deconstruct my bias and deconstruct the othering I have learned. Anyways, read Transformers.